Picture this. It's roughly 1 million years ago. You are Homo erectus. You don't have a job, tax forms, or a mortgage. Your entire existence revolves around not getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger and keeping this fire alive inside your cozy, unventilated cave. To keep the cold out, you toss a random bunch of local bushes onto the flames. The cave fills with thick, heavy smoke. You can't escape it. You breathe it in. And suddenly, the cave walls start looking a little more interesting than they did 5 minutes ago. Your cave mate looks like a giant banana. Congratulations, you just became the first creature in Earth's history to get accidentally high. See, our relationship with smoke started way before vape shops or modern civilization. Archaeological findings from Wonderwork Cave in South Africa prove our ancestors maintained contained fires for millennia. And because they lived in enclosed spaces, inhaling smoke was just standard Tuesday protocol. But plants aren't stupid. They evolve compounds like alkaloids and terpenes to protect themselves from insects. When we burned them, we turned those defenses into an airborne cocktail. And since the human brain already possessed an endocannabinoid system, a built-in network of receptors wired to regulate mood and appetite, our biology was practically sitting by the door waiting for the package to arrive. Over generations, this pleasant little campfire accident turned into a very intentional habit. Fast forward a bit. Humans realized they didn't want to smoke out their entire family just to feel relaxed. They started getting specific. Let's do a lightning-fast breakdown of how we optimize the grind. First stop, the Great Salt Lake Desert in Utah. Scientists found a 12,000-year-old hearth where hunter-gatherers were intentionally tossing wild tobacco seeds directly into the coals. Mind you, this was long before anyone invented pipes, pottery, or even farming. Humans were literally playing a prehistoric game of toss the magical seed and stand downwind. Eventually, someone got tired of getting smoke in their eyes and invented the pipe. Around 3,500 years ago in the southeastern United States, we get the first hard physical evidence of pipe smoking, complete with ancient nicotine residue scraped right out of the clay. Meanwhile, over in Central Asia, people were taking things to a whole new level. In the Pamir Mountains, archaeologists found 2,500-year-old wooden braziers inside burial mounds. The stones inside had charred residue of cannabis with an insanely high select level of THC. This wasn't ditchweed. They were specifically cultivating the strong stuff for funeral rituals. The ancient Greek historian Herodotus actually wrote about this. He claimed a nomadic group called the Scythians would build small enclosed wool tents, throw hemp seeds onto red-hot rocks, and howl with joy inside their makeshift vapor tents. For centuries, historians thought Herodotus was just making stuff up for clout, but modern archaeology literally dug up the exact tents and braziers he described. Herodotus was telling the absolute truth. The Scythians invented the hot box. Then comes 1492. Christopher Columbus steps onto land in the Caribbean, pulls out his journal, and writes down a bizarre sight. Indigenous people walking around with glowing sticks of dried leaves, inhaling the smoke, and casually blowing it out of their noses. The European sailors, being naturally curious and incredibly stressed, tried it immediately. Within a few decades, tobacco went from a localized ritual to a global currency. Now, you might be asking, why? Why are humans across every single continent completely obsessed with altering their brains? Well, in the 1980s, a psychopharmacologist named Ronald Siegel came up with the Intoxication Hypothesis. He argued that the desire to alter your consciousness isn't some modern moral failing or a weird glitch in our programming. It is a fundamental biological drive. Just like hunger, thirst, and sex, your brain actively wants to change its state. And we aren't the only ones. Nature is full of absolute party animals. Elephants will literally track down fermented marula fruit, gorge themselves until they are completely drunk, and then stumble around wrecking the jungle layout. In Siberia, reindeer actively hunt for psychoactive Amanita muscaria mushrooms. It gets weirder. Because the active compounds pass through the body, other reindeer will literally drink the urine of the high reindeer to recycle the trip. I am not making this up. Nature is wild. For early humans, finding these plants was a brutal process of prehistorical trial and error. The tribes that figured out which plants gave you a buzz, which ones healed your stomach, and which ones killed you instantly passed that knowledge down orally like a survival cheat sheet. But long before anyone was smoking casually while scrolling through TikTok, smoke was used as a premium medical technology. Think about it. If you swallow a leaf, it takes an hour to digest. If you rub it on your skin, it might not absorb. But if you burn it and inhale it, it hits your lungs and enters your bloodstream within seconds. It was the ancient version of an IV drip or a medical nebulizer. In ancient Egypt, the Ebers Papyrus, one of the oldest medical books in existence, explicitly tells doctors to burn an herb called henbane and have the patient inhale the smoke to cure asthma and throat pain. In ancient Greece, Hippocrates, the literal father of Western medicine, routinely prescribed herbal fumigations. If you had a lung illness, he'd essentially put you in a room full of therapeutic herbal vapors. And in India, 3,000 years ago, Ayurvedic medical texts laid out a deeply structured practice called Dhumapana, which literally translates to smoke drinking. This wasn't an open mic night. Physicians used specialized pipes to deliver highly measured, exact doses of medicinal plant smoke to balance the body's internal systems. Smoke was respect. Smoke was medicine.
This brings us to the ultimate plot twist. In tribal and indigenous cultures, smoking together inside a circle wasn't just a hobby, it was a crucial piece of social technology. Sharing an altered state of consciousness synchronizes group brain activity. It forced everyone to lower their guard, building the deep communal trust required to survive harsh winters and mammoths. In early American cultures, tobacco was handled with absolute reverence. It was a sacred tool used exclusively by shamans to carry prayers up to the sky. You didn't just light one up because you had a bad day at the office. But then, Western industrialists entered the chat. Over the course of 4 centuries, commercial companies took this sacred, deeply disciplined communal plant, stripped away every single ounce of ritual, and ran it through a factory. They engineered mass-manufactured, chemically optimized cigarettes specifically designed to hit your brain with nicotine as fast as humanly possible to maximize physical addiction. They turned a tool of ancient connection into a solo habit engineered for corporate profit. We spent 1,000,000 years learning how to harness fire and smoke to alter our minds, heal our bodies, and connect with our tribes, only for modern corporations to turn it into a multi-billion-dollar trap. Trust me, bro, the next time you see a smoke, remember, it took 1,000,000 years of campfire accidents to get it to you.